Let's see. Adam David Collings of Nerd Heaven says, "Hi, Karyne. I have The Light That Takes downloaded and ready to read soon."
Ooh.
Let's see here. I don't know what you're referring to. Spider Dan says, "I swear I was just thinking that." Yeah, there's just enough of a delay that it's hard for me to...
Wonder if it was Space Ghost.
That he looked like... Okay, that he looked like Zorak. Yeah. Okay, so you can get the game booted up, but would you say that Spyro the Dragon is your favorite game, favorite video game of all time?
No.
No?
Chrono Trigger.
Really? Chrono Trigger? I guess, yeah. How many times have you played Chrono Trigger? You played it on mobile
All
once.
the way through, only a few.
Okay. All the way through, only a few.
Yeah.
That's still a lot. There's not many games I've played three times. All the way through three times.
I remember initially I wanted to do every path from, like, you had the cheat book.
Yeah, there's like, I don't know, 60 or some crazy...
There's no way.
Yeah.
But I did a few of them.
They do.
I never could, there was like one path where you like leave him behind.
Oh.
And he never returns.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't bring yourself to do it.
And I always felt like I should see where that went.
Yeah.
And every time I got to that part, I was like, no.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
And now there's just YouTube. You can watch them all on YouTube.
I could.
The characters wouldn't have the names that you
Not my names,
no.
no.
All right, you can get started. I'm going to just update the title over here.
I didn't get very far the last time I played.
That's all right.
Because this was the new version. Alright. I don't remember what I did so far, or where I am.
What is this called, like remastered or something?
Yeah.
Remastered?
Maybe. I've already played this one because they're not real gems. I don't like all the different views. How do I get out of the exit level? Because I think I beat that one already.
Oh, that's not really going to fix it, is it?
Fix what?
It's just short enough that it's kind of tugging on you a little bit.
I'm not noticing it.
You're not noticing it?
On
Okay.
my lap?
I mean, that's fine. Maybe it's going to be more an issue for my earbuds. I don't know. Alright, I think I'm good. Okay, so you have to explain while you play.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, I know, it's hard. It's multitasking, and like talking while you play video games is hard. It makes me worse at both talking and playing video games. But
I'm trying to get gems. That's what I'm doing.
Okay. But you're a girl. You're supposed to be able to multitask more than boys, right? Isn't that a thing?
I don't know.
No. So, okay, here's what I'll do.
I don't remember how to
I'll
do some of these
see.
things.
I'll see what kind of work you've done so that I can do this part for you.
Do what?
The
narrating of
light.
it?
Oops. It's not L-I-H-G-T, is it? L-I. The light
Oh, I don't.
that takes
Prove your worth by rescuing 10 dragons.
Karyne,
I have to
Norton.
rescue 10 dragons before I can go there. Lame. Okay.
Hey, good job. Amazon is the first thing that shows up. Is that what you would hope for?
Technically my website probably, but that's okay.
Well, Amazon dominates. Holly just heard she had a job interview.
Yeah.
And while she was there, she was talking to someone that used to work for Amazon as a pharmacist. And they had asked Holly, like the procedure was, what it was like to be let go at the place she was at before, and she kind of said, well, they had a meeting, and the supervisor kind of explained things to us, and the guy that had worked at Amazon, he says, we didn't talk to anybody. I just went out for a break, and then I came back, and my card wouldn't work on the door to get me back into the
Amazon?
workplace. Yeah, working at the Amazon kind of automated pharmacy place.
Oh.
He went out for a break, came back, and his card wouldn't swipe, and then he checked his email from his phone or something, and it was told that he was let go, and that he was not going to be able to get any of his stuff, and it would all be shipped to him. He was just to go home.
What if his keys were in there?
I know. I was like, what the crap?
Why can I not get in there?
I told Holly, I was like, well, at least we know Amazon will be good at shipping those things. But my gosh, that almost blew my mind until I realized that Amazon is... Their whole business model from the beginning has probably been to make things as automated and people-free as possible. And they're just taking it to the nth degree. It probably saves them some money and makes it possible for them to do a lot of what they do and at the prices that they do. But my gosh.
That is pretty crazy.
All right.
I just sent her an email asking her if she saw, because I saw a thing about Amazon Pharmacy, and it looked like they're doing something new at their pharmacy. I'm like, oh, maybe they're hiring. But even if they were, she probably would have.
Yeah, well, at this point, that's a big red flag. I mean, it's not that she wouldn't even consider it, but I mean, she would have to think very carefully.
This fancy vortex thingamajigger. It'll take you back to the artisan home. But first, let me tell you.
These guys talk a lot, and it never matters.
No thanks.
Oh, good. Spyro agreed.
Do you think that was added, or do you think that it was the original voice? Probably. So it must have been in the original game.
Yeah, probably.
That's funny.
That's my exact feeling every time they talk. So it's
no
nice,
thanks. See ya. Is that what he said?
Yes. It's nice to have that validated.
That's funny. Okay, so I might mispronounce these names, even though I've recorded these names before. But let's see. It's been 14 years since Karyne, since Karyne saw Eliana disappear. Eliana, is that right? But he still searches every port for his childhood friend. When the latest clue points to lands across the barrier where people are no longer supposed to exist, Karyne is forced to relive the painful memories of losing Eliana in order to discover if she's still within his reach. The Light That Takes is a prequel short story in the Half-Light Chronicles, which is set to launch later this year. So that's the description for the short story ebook that you have up on Amazon, The Light That Takes, by Karyne Norton.
Which I only put it there because the only other thing I have published is a chapter in a nonfiction book, and I didn't want it to look like that's what I was writing. And so I wanted to get a short story up there. I actually have that story available for free on my website. So
how do people get that story for free?
You go to my website, KarynneNorton.com, then you can sign up for my emails, and you can always unsubscribe later if you want to. But that's how you can get it for free.
And how do you spell Karyne Norton?
Yeah, right. KarynneNorton.com. But yeah, and if you want to, I can't remember who said they already downloaded.
Adam did.
Yeah. Pater just recorded that for me. So if you want to listen to Pater read it instead, you can get that for free on the podcast website, which is findingfantasyreads.com.
Findingfantasyreads.com.
Yeah. And
was that you earlier today and not an imposter?
Yeah, that was.
Okay. I wasn't sure, when you said that, she was in the chat earlier today during the live stream. and had like the art for finding fantasy reads. I've got the magnet
Well,
version
that's my
here.
YouTube channel where I'm putting the episodes.
Okay.
So that's why it's all branded.
But so I saw it and I was like, well, it has to be Karyne. And so I said, oh, it looks like that's my sister Karyne, you know. And then she said, no, I'm an imposter. And I was like, I think that's a joke, but I think I'm going to stop talking to her now. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, that was me.
Watch the dragonfly spider.
So what's on your YouTube channel, Finding Fantasy Reads?
I'm just putting the podcasts on there with a static image. So
okay.
It's just another place to listen to it.
Okay, cool. And June 6th, that's coming up, right? Isn't it June 6th?
That'll be the first oh, I didn't want to do that.
And you have multiple episodes launching on the first.
3, yes.
Is that also on YouTube or just in the podcast feed? Okay.
Yeah, the YouTube channel is everything's gonna come out the same exact time.
Well, I better get on the podcast app and read the description for the podcast.
That's
Finding Fantasy Reads.
Oh, I need a key for that. Sorry.
That's
Did
all
I
right.
screw up?
There it is. Karyne Norton.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I don't remember where.
And there's like a 3-minute trailer up on the YouTube channel, I think.
It's on all of the.
Okay, yeah. Where you can get an
Podcasts.
explanation of this. The description on the podcast thing says, Finding Fantasy Reads is for ravenous readers who are eager to find their next favorite character, series, or world by sampling clean fantasy short stories from a variety of authors. New episodes are released every Tuesday morning. This show is hosted by Karyne Norton, author of epic fantasy and reader of all types of fantasy. Narration of short stories is performed by either Karyne Norton or Pater Franson, host of the Christian Geek Central podcast. So this is something that some of you guys know. Like, I think mainly patrons are the ones I've mentioned the most detail about this to in previous months, and not just a little bit I've said on the podcast, very kind of vaguely. But this is something that's been in the works for a while. And I think it's going to be a great way for me to ride my sister's coattails as she skyrockets to fame and fortune. Because she just tends to succeed at anything she puts her mind to.
What example do you have of that?
Well, your photography business, you just did that, and you had a great customer base and just did it until you were done with it. You know? And nursing.
Yep. Worked that job.
And you're such a go-getter, like with you and like your kids, like all the things that you think of and sign them up for, and like she's a small group leader at our church and has been for years, and just the things that she thinks of that I wouldn't think of in her role in those ministries is just like, yeah, she's just. Are you just the type that you just do your research on things before you get into them, or like once you get into them, you really go hardcore and do your research? Or
I usually like to do it first, which is why this podcast has been a year in the making.
She knows more about podcasting tricks than I do, and I've been podcasting since 2007. You do like the whole thing about like having 3 episodes on your first day because that increases the likelihood that Apple will feature it if you have.
And there's conflicting views on that because some people are like, "Oh, that's not true anymore." So I don't know.
Well,
but I was like, might as well, it doesn't hurt.
Just the fact that you're doing stuff like that and thinking about stuff that I just.
How do I get up there? Oh, right there.
Have never been motivated to really chase down and try to implement.
Well, I think for me it always, and you and I have similar views on stuff like this. Like, we protect our time a lot, and so if I'm going to invest any kind of time in something, I want it to be like I'm investing 100%. And so yeah, I didn't. I like went back and forth on whether or not to even do this podcast for a long time because I knew it would be a big time commitment. And
I feel like the first time you brought it up was it more than a year ago?
It was almost exactly. Well, it was probably. I'm trying to think of when I talked to you about it because I had the idea, and I don't even know if I've told you this, but I told John when I had the idea. I was like, I'm only doing this if Pater's going to do it with me.
Oh.
But I'm going to tell him that it doesn't matter if he does it or not, and that if he doesn't want to do it, he can suggest other people. Which, I mean, I might have considered it, but at the time, I was so on the fence about whether I'd even do it. I was like, I'm not going to be motivated to do this unless Pater is... Because you've been doing it for years. And so I was like, I need that little cheerleader backup system going.
I guess, if I can be that. I mean, but this is a different animal because, I mean, just to retrace what I mentioned in the reading, it's a podcast that the meat of the content, it's going to have like an intro each week, where Karyne will probably say a little bit about the author. But each month, it's a monthly podcast?
No,
weekly?
Week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So each week...
Where have you been?
Yeah. Well, we're doing these... we've been recording this already for weeks. So that we can... if things get crazy or busy or whatever, we've got a little buffer zone to work with. But each episode is a different fantasy author. And not necessarily Christian. In fact, there'll be a number, I'm certain, that aren't.
Yeah. I'm not aiming for Christian, and I'm aiming for clean mostly because my kids might listen to this, and it's a little awkward when I'm like, "Don't say that word," and then I say it and read it,
and you still have really little girls. Like, how old are your girls? Like, your boys would be at the age where they would be like, "Okay, they know which words are not appropriate in different places," but like your girls
would repeat stuff.
Yeah,
they're 7 and 5.
Yeah.
Just had birthdays. Cut me some slack. I'm playing a game and trying to focus on the game. I don't know how to get where I need to go. So that was the main reason for that. How do I get over there?
That dude gave you some instructions while you were blabbing. I don't know if those were vital or not.
Probably.
Is there you could pause and see if there's any help?
No, I just need to fly over there,
okay.
And I got to get to the right spot where I can reach without falling, and that's not it.
Okay. But I think it has a good amount of crossover appeal for Christians because at least the short stories, not necessarily all that the authors do,
right?
And that's an important point. But at least the short stories featured on here are going to be clean.
Yeah.
And you can get, because clean can mean all kinds of things to all kinds of people. Everybody has different standards, and everybody, their point of offense is going to be in a different spot. And she gives in the intro 3-minute thing, she gives a blow-by-blow of kind of what she means by clean, and she compares it to...
Everyone's is different.
She compares it to movie ratings, so can you regurgitate that?
Yeah, it's G for language, PG for romance, and up to PG-13 for violence, although it's not PG-13 in every single one of them. It just could hit that at some point. So I'd rather, and I'm kind of erring on the side of, it's probably more like PG for violence, but I don't even really know how they determine what's PG and PG-13 in movies for violence. So I'd rather say PG-13 and not offend people than make promises and have them be like, you said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I need to go.
Yeah, and violence is such a visual thing.
Yeah.
That it's weird. I remember doing the Spirit Blade trilogy, and in my mind, I was kind of thinking is, anybody that's anybody that is allowed to watch PG-13 movies is probably going to be fine with any of these. But if these were adapted into movies, they would all be rated R for violence. Because I use a lot of there's a lot of gore and splattering blood and viscera and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In all 3 of those, that's if you visualize that in your mind, it's going to bring to mind some pretty rated R images. But since you're not actually being exposed to those images, I consider it ultimately roughly a PG-13 violence experience. But so that's got to be tricky to try and determine that for reading, for listening, to short stories and stuff.
If I wince when I'm reading it, it's PG-13.
Okay. There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
And I'm a nurse, so it takes a while.
Okay, yeah, that does say something.
I don't think I'm supposed to go up there. I thought there was something up there.
Did you watch either of my meal break videos?
I did not.
Okay.
No. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I'm losing interest.
Let's see. A couple of comments here. Adam says, I'd be interested to know if you find that having the book on Amazon affects your newsletter signups. Do you have any read on that?
No, because I'm so unheard of and it doesn't matter. And you know, one of the other reasons to have it there is because not everybody wants to give me their email. That's kind of a...
Yeah.
Some people would rather pay $1 for a short story than to give someone their email, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm getting plenty of newsletter signups, and I think maybe 4 people have bought the short story, and that's, you know, including family. So I'm not really putting it up there for sales. And so I would say it hasn't affected newsletter signups in any way because, you know, those 4 people are probably already on my newsletter list.
You're welcome to any of my treats. Just tell me what you want.
Okay.
What you're in the mood for. We got donut sticks, Snickers, things.
It's a donut stick.
It's like a cake donut, a glazed cake donut. Little Debbie.
I'm gonna leave this place. I'm not having fun. It looks disgusting.
The donut stick?
Yeah.
Are you out of your
It
mind?
looks like a Twinkie that went bad.
No. Look at it again. Get a closer look. Oh. Okay. That is just fine with me.
Yeah, I won't be eating any. You can have them all. Okay.
Let's see here.
I don't know how to get that either.
Adam says, wisdom I've heard is don't make your reader magnet for sale, but I suspect it probably doesn't make much difference unless you already have a big following. Spider Dan says, I always wanted to be a writer, but couldn't cut it, at least for fiction. And Nathan Norman says, I think audio violence is worse than visual violence. Oh man, I'm so sorry, Nathan. At least for me, my imagination is rather explicit with audio prompts. Oh man. So you had like an NC-17 experience of the Spirit Blade trilogy. Scarred for life. Man.
The transitions between worlds are really slow for this game.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the loading times haven't been sped up more. But they might be faster than you remember.
Oh, I have.
Is there a save option?
Okay.
Or is it auto? It must auto-save.
It auto-saves at the dragons, or
Okay.
you can go to the dragons and
Okay.
save. I thought I'd ended this one already, but I guess I haven't. Yeah, I've heard as well that you shouldn't do that, and I don't care. But I also have several short stories that I will probably be rotating out reader magnets and stuff, so I'm not really concerned about it long term. But I was more concerned about... Ooh, you just made me die.
I'm sorry.
I'll blame you. I don't remember what I was saying there.
Something about reader magnets.
Yeah.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, I was more concerned about just how it looked like I was a nonfiction writer instead of a fantasy writer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter in September. If people went and looked me up, I wanted them to be able to see that, oh yes, she's putting out fantasy.
Yeah.
So,
Are you talking publicly about, like, are you?
well, I guess I am now if you're going to bring it up.
No. You can no. That's why I say that. So you can say I'm going to wait for the Kickstarter to talk about that. You know.
Talk about what?
Yeah. That's okay. So let me finish. Let me talk. Are you talking publicly yet about like a proposed or planned date for release of any of your full-length books?
Well, the Kickstarter is for the first full-length book.
Okay.
And so people who back that will get the ebook like a month to 2 months later.
Okay.
And then depending on printer time frames,
Okay.
the hard copies. But then it'll be like February that I'll do the official release on other platforms like Amazon and Barnes & Noble type stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and then it should be a book a year is the time frame I'm kind of looking at.
Okay. Cool.
like the graphics on this, how they put all these books in here. I don't remember it looking this cool.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't that detailed.
I wondered, though, was it even supposed to be books, or did they just add all that?
Oh, I don't know.
You know?
It might have been like flat, just kind of like painted images that was all not three-dimensional at all, but just kind of like pictures of books stacked on shelves or something.
Maybe.
If that, though, I mean, that's a good point. It's like, this was the PlayStation 1, so even having that level of detail would be more of a PS2 thing, maybe.
Like this Norton
And, I can't skip through what they're saying, and I could do that
really?
before. It might be because it's the first time I'm watching, but I swear they let me skip through it before. I don't know. Oh, I don't want to go home yet. I gotta get more dragons.
And when you first played this game, was it because a girl you were babysitting owned it?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was back in college or high school?
I don't know when he played it, but because I babysat him in both.
PlayStation 1, I guess I think of that as when I was in early college, so it might have been high school for you.
Might have.
Unless, I mean, it stuck around for a while, so I mean, it could have been.
Yeah, he just couldn't get past certain levels, and so he would ask me to help, and so then I had to figure out how to play it.
Okay.
Which is funny because I could do that then, and now when my kids ask for help, I'm like, what? I can't figure that out. It's like I hit a certain point with my skills, and I will never move beyond that. I can't play the games they make now. They make my head hurt. I can't see the direction I'm supposed to be going.
Do you mean literally they make you get headaches, or?
Well, no, I just I can't follow it enough.
Yeah.
I get all turned around. And I don't even know that it looks more realistic to me. It just looks more confusing. Oh, I think I have to go down here. Did I do that yet? Nope. Yeah, I do like all these books.
Have you beaten this whole game before?
Yes, but there's a way you can get all the gems, and I have not done that because it's just too hard. There's a couple things that I remember looking up how to get all the gems, and I just can't do some of the things that you have to do. There's certain ways you have to fly around things and get to them. I just couldn't do it.
Spyro, want to know a secret? Use the action button.
Nathan Norman says, "Yeah, Dark Ritual is seared into my brain."
Safe with me.
It's probably the cult ritual sequence near the end when the dudes start.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoilers. But they start cutting themselves, and that's just the beginning of it. It gets pretty nasty after that. So, I can't remember if I asked you this last time you were on a live stream. What made you decide to self-publish? Because for years you were working with at least one or two agents, and at one time a really well-respected agency, if memory serves, and we don't need to name names, but had a New York Times best-selling author that was looking at your stuff and encouraging you, and so you were you had a mindset of going into the world of publishers. What shifted you to going to the self-published route?
Yeah, kind of going back to how I don't want to do something unless I can do it 100%. Self-publishing always seemed like a lot of work. Having to do everything by myself, and to do it the way I want to do it I keep calling it my midlife crisis because I'm putting a fair amount of money into different aspects of it that I may not get back, you know. I hope to, but I want to do it at the level that I don't like doing something unless I'm proud of it. Oh, I made it. I did the exact same thing I've been doing this whole time, and this time I got it. And so initially I wouldn't have been able to afford it, for one thing. Back when we were missionaries, I couldn't have funded any portion of it.
She and her husband were missionaries in Uganda for Rwanda. Sorry, dang it.
I only lived there for a couple of years.
Rwanda. I gotta remember Hotel Rwanda.
That's one way to remember it.
And for 2 years you were there?
Yeah, just shy of it.
Just shy of 2 years, okay.
Yeah, so, and I think, it's a long enough road with traditional publishing that when I started the process, I was like, I don't even really want to publish until my youngest is in kindergarten because I don't have time to stay on top of that business component. And so I was like, everyone says it takes forever to be traditionally published, so I'll start that process now. And so I started querying before I was ready to be, and by querying I mean I was sending out letters to agents. Oh, I just died. To see if they would represent my work to publishers. And I ended up getting an agent much quicker than I anticipated, and I wasn't ready for that. And so in some ways I'm really glad it didn't work out with her, because I would have been publishing in the middle of COVID. My first book, that would have been my debut. It would have gone miserably. How do they hit me even when I'm not? I thought that. How do I get them? Oh, not that way. There. So I decided. Well, actually, the same the same New York Times bestseller was like, oh, I just died. She was like, have you considered self-publishing? Because then after COVID, the traditional publishers all kind of got a little crazy, and it became even harder to get an agent and even harder to get a contract with a publisher. And so then I started researching it, and my main critique partner, she's been self-published for years, and she's like, come to the dark side. And so she really is the one who convinced me. And it's not that I won't ever, I have science fiction stuff that I'm going to be pitching to Enclave at Realm Makers this summer.
Oh, cool.
I would really like to be a hybrid author, actually. I can't talk and play at the same time. But yeah, because then, I have access to the indie side of things, and I have access to the traditional side of things, and I think that's a really great combination for anyone.
Yeah.
So that is my preferred end goal, is to have both. But yeah, I think after doing as much as I have to prepare to self-publish, that's what I'll do most, because I enjoy the control over everything. Being able to veto covers, being able to pick when it's going to be published. All my deadlines are set by me, so I can fit them around our family life. So I think that will always be my preference.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Is there a place at this point that people can go who might be interested in submitting a short story for the podcast so they can see like your criteria or whatever? What would be the first thing for them to explore or
just the website? Because in the About section, it kind of explains why I'm doing this and what I'm doing. But then also there's a
the website like KarynneNorton.com or
No,
Finding Fantasy Reads?
Finding Fantasy
FindingFantasyReads.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
the sorry, it's in the county. There's the contact form. There's two sides, for listeners and for people applying to be a featured author.
Okay.
So I have to learn how to kill these guys. I think I can flame them, but yeah, I gotta flame them a couple times, I think. And so you can fill out the application form there, and in that form it explains what we're looking for. Oh man.
I just adjusted the volume levels a little bit because you are super subdued.
Sorry. That's just how I talk. And then you put me on a game, and so
Yeah, I know.
I'm distracted. I have to start at the beginning. Do you want to play something else?
Sure, I can play. I can go back to playing something. You don't have to keep playing the whole time you're here.
I think you should go back to playing something.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
It's supposed to be your marathon anyway.
Yeah, I suppose. Was there something more on here? I have to play. Maybe not. Could I be done with the Xbox for the night? I don't think I need to play at this point more Fell Seal. Oh, no. There's still stuff I could play here. Maybe Grim Dawn. Oh, I haven't, do I want to do any Void Bastards right now? I don't think so. Let me look at... I gotta look at my list. Ugh. I gotta think of a game that I could play and talk at the same time. That'd be pretty brainless and easy. Maybe Titan Quest. Yeah, I think that's my game. All right, so I gotta switch consoles.
For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.